the secret to living well, Aristotle's timeless advice. What does it mean to live well? It's a question we all wrestle with at some point in our lives. Is it about chasing success, finding happiness, or leaving a legacy? We live in a world obsessed with productivity and achievement, yet so many of us feel disconnected, unfulfilled, and unsure of what it truly means to thrive. Aristotle, the legendary philosopher, grappled with this very question over 2,000 years ago, and his answers remain profoundly relevant today. To Aristotle, living well wasn't about fleeting pleasures or material wealth, it was about achieving eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing, or the good life. But here's the twist: eudaimonia isn't something you stumble upon or magically receive. It's something you actively create, moment by moment, through the way you live, the choices you make, and the habits you cultivate. Let's start with the foundation of Aristotle's philosophy: virtue. He believed that the good life is a virtuous life. But what does that mean? Virtue for Aristotle is about excellence, not just in our actions, but in our character. It's about being the best version of ourselves, not because we're chasing perfection, but because striving for excellence is what makes life meaningful. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Aristotle didn't see virtue as a rigid set of rules. Instead, he saw it as a balancing act, a concept he called the doctrine of the mean. Every virtue lies between two extremes or vices. For example, courage is the mean between recklessness and cowardice. Generosity is the mean between stinginess and extravagance. Living well means finding that sweet spot, that balance, in every situation. Think about this for a moment. How often do we fall into extremes? Maybe we work too much, neglecting our health and relationships. Or maybe we avoid challenges, holding ourselves back out of fear. Aristotle's advice is simple but profound. Virtue isn't about doing too much or too little. It's about doing just enough, in the right way, at the right time. It's about living in harmony with ourselves and the world around us. But here's the catch: cultivating virtue isn't easy. It requires phronesis, or practical wisdom. This is the ability to make good decisions, not just in theory, but in the messy, unpredictable reality of life. Aristotle believed that practical wisdom comes from experience. It's something we develop over time by reflecting on our actions, learning from our mistakes, and striving to do better. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what's one area of your life where you could find a better balance? Maybe it's how you spend your time, the way you approach your relationships, or even how you treat yourself. What would it look like to find the mean in that area?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Now, let's talk about habits. For Aristotle, living well isn't about occasional bursts of virtue, it's about consistency. He famously said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. This means that the choices we make every day, no matter how small, shape the kind of person we become. Are you cultivating habits that align with the life you want to live, or are your habits pulling you away from it? Here's a practical way to apply this: start small. Identify one habit that isn't serving you and replace it with something better. For example, if you find yourself scrolling endlessly on your phone, could you use that time to connect with someone you care about or to pursue a passion? Aristotle would remind us that it's not about making radical changes overnight. It's about making small, intentional choices that add up over time. But living well isn't just about individual virtue. Aristotle also believed that we are social creatures by nature. He argued that relationships are essential to the good life, not superficial connections, but deep, meaningful relationships built on trust, respect, and mutual support. He called this philia, or friendship, and he saw it as one of the greatest sources of joy and fulfillment. Think about the people in your life. Are your relationships helping you grow and thrive, or are they holding you back? Are you showing up as the kind of friend, partner, or colleague you want to be? Aristotle challenges us to invest in our relationships, not just for our own sake, but because they're a crucial part of what it means to live well. Finally, Aristotle believed that the good life isn't about escaping challenges, it's about embracing them. He saw struggle as a necessary part of growth. When we face difficulties, we have the opportunity to develop our virtues, to become more courageous, patient, and resilient. The good life isn't easy, but it's worth it. Here's the takeaway: living well isn't about chasing happiness or avoiding discomfort. It's about striving for excellence, cultivating good habits, nurturing meaningful relationships, and embracing the challenges that help us grow. Aristotle's wisdom is timeless because it speaks to the heart of what it means to be human. The question is, are you ready to apply it? The art of balance: how Aristotle's golden mean transforms your life. We've uncovered how Aristotle's wisdom centers on cultivating virtues, building habits, and fostering relationships to achieve a life of flourishing. Now, let's delve deeper into one of his most powerful concepts, the golden mean, the idea that living well is about balance. This isn't just a philosophical abstraction, it's a practical tool that can reshape the way we live and make decisions every day. Let's start with the essence of the golden mean. Aristotle believed that every virtue lies between two extremes, which he called vices. Take courage, for instance. Too little courage, and you're a coward, unable to take necessary risks or stand up for what's right. Too much courage, and you become reckless, charging into situations without thought or care. The golden mean is the perfect balance, a kind of bravery that's thoughtful, measured, and effective. Now apply this to other aspects of life. Consider ambition. Too little ambition, and you might lack direction or purpose. Too much, and you risk becoming consumed by greed or workaholism, sacrificing your well-being and relationships. The balance lies in healthy ambition, the kind that drives you to grow and contribute without losing sight of your values. Here's where Aristotle's brilliance shines. The golden mean isn't a fixed point. It's not the same for everyone, and it can change depending on the situation. What's courageous for one person might be reckless for another. What's generous in one context might be excessive in another. Aristotle understood that living well requires flexibility, self-awareness, and the ability to adapt. Think about a recent decision you made. Did you lean too far toward one extreme or the other? What would it have looked like to find the balance? This is the art of the golden mean, constantly calibrating your choices to align with your values and the realities of the moment. But here's the catch: finding the meaning isn't easy. It takes practice, reflection, and what Aristotle called phronesis, or practical wisdom. This isn't book knowledge, it's the ability to navigate life's complexities with skill and insight. Aristotle believed that practical wisdom grows through experience. Every decision, whether it succeeds or fails, teaches us something about ourselves and the world. Let's make this personal. Where in your life could you use more balance? Maybe it's in your work-life dynamic, where you've been pushing too hard or not pushing enough. Maybe it's in your relationships, where you've been giving too much or holding back. Aristotle's advice isn't to aim for perfection, but to keep striving for that sweet spot where you feel grounded, effective, and true to yourself. The golden mean also applies to how we handle emotions. Take anger, for example. Too little anger, and you might tolerate injustice or mistreatment. Too much anger, and you risk alienating others or acting impulsively. The mean is righteous anger, the kind that fuels action while staying under control. Think of someone like Martin Luther King Jr., who channeled his anger at injustice into a movement that changed the world. Here's a deep question to reflect on. Are you in control of your emotions, or are they in control of you? Aristotle would challenge us to find the balance, to feel deeply without letting our emotions dictate our actions. The beauty of the golden mean is that it's not about avoiding extremes entirely, it's about learning to navigate them. Life is full of contradictions, and Aristotle's wisdom helps us hold those contradictions in balance. It teaches us that moderation isn't mediocrity, it's mastery. It's not about playing it safe, but about living with intention and harmony. Imagine what your life could look like if you embraced this principle. Instead of swinging between burnout and laziness, you'd find a rhythm that sustains you. Instead of reacting to others with either passivity or aggression, you'd respond with assertive kindness. Instead of chasing fleeting pleasures or denying yourself entirely, you'd cultivate joys that nourish you deeply. But Aristotle didn't stop at individual balance. He believed that living well also means contributing to the balance of the larger community. When we act virtuously, we inspire others to do the same. Our choices ripple outward, shaping the culture around us. This is how the golden mean becomes not just a personal philosophy, but a force for collective flourishing. So, here's your challenge. What's one area of your life where you could practice the golden mean today? What small adjustment could bring you closer to balance, to excellence, to eudaimonia? Aristotle's advice is timeless because it's practical. The path to living well isn't found in extremes, it's found in the art of balance. The question is, are you ready to embrace it? The power of purpose, how Aristotle's vision of eudaimonia gives life meaning. We've explored Aristotle's golden mean and the importance of balance in living well. But balance alone isn't enough. To truly thrive, we need purpose, a sense of direction that aligns our actions with something greater than ourselves. Aristotle's vision of eudaimonia, or human flourishing, is the key to finding that purpose. It's not just about living, it's about living meaningfully. For Aristotle, eudaimonia is the highest good, the ultimate goal of human life. But here's the catch: it's not a destination you reach and then relax. It's a way of being, a dynamic, ongoing process of fulfilling your potential. It's about aligning your life with your telos, or purpose, the unique role you're meant to play in the world. But how do we sustain this journey? Aristotle believed that living well requires a balance of action and reflection. It's not enough to work hard or chase goals, you also need time to step back, evaluate, and recalibrate. This is where practices like journaling, meditation, or simply taking a walk can make a profound difference. They give you the space to reconnect with your purpose and ensure your actions align with your values. At the same time, Aristotle emphasized the importance of joy. Living well isn't about sacrifice or self-denial, it's about embracing life's pleasures in a way that enriches your soul. Whether it's sharing a meal with loved ones, immersing yourself in art, or simply watching a sunset, these moments of joy are not distractions from a meaningful life, they're an essential part of it. Here's a question to ponder: what's your music? What's the thing that lights you up, that challenges you, that gives you a sense of fulfillment? Aristotle would encourage us to reflect deeply on our talents, passions, and values. Purpose isn't something we passively find, it's something we actively uncover through self-awareness and experimentation. But purpose isn't just about personal fulfillment. Aristotle believed that we're social beings by nature and that true eudaimonia is impossible in isolation. To live well, we must engage with others and contribute to the common good. This is where Aristotle's concept of philia, or deep, virtuous friendship, comes in. True friends, he argued, don't just share pleasures, they help each other grow in virtue and purpose. Think about the people in your life. Are your relationships helping you become the best version of yourself? And are you helping others do the same? Aristotle's advice is clear: surround yourself with people who challenge and inspire you, who hold you accountable to your highest potential. Purpose isn't just an individual pursuit, it's something we build together. But what about the obstacles that get in the way of purpose? Fear, doubt, and distraction are all too common. Aristotle understood this. He believed that living well requires courage, the willingness to face discomfort and uncertainty in the pursuit of what matters. Courage doesn't mean eliminating fear, it means acting despite it. Every time we choose purpose over comfort, we strengthen our ability to live well. Here's a practical way to start. Identify one small step you can take today toward living with greater purpose. Maybe it's dedicating time to a project you've been putting off, reaching out to someone who inspires you, or simply reflecting on what truly matters to you. Purpose doesn't have to be grand, it just has to be intentional. Aristotle also emphasized the importance of leisure not as idleness, but as time spent engaging in meaningful activities. He believed that true leisure allows us to reflect, create, and connect. In our modern world, where busyness is often glorified, Aristotle's reminder is more relevant than ever. Purpose isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. Let's not forget that purpose is a journey, not a final destination. Aristotle believed that eudaimonia is something we cultivate throughout our lives. It's not about being perfect, it's about striving, growing, and evolving. Each day, each choice is an opportunity to align your life more closely with your purpose. So, what does this mean for you? How can you live with greater intention and clarity? Aristotle's vision of eudaimonia challenges us to look beyond short-term pleasures and focus on what truly makes life worth living. The power of purpose lies in its ability to guide us, to give us strength in difficult times, and to connect us to something larger than ourselves. The question Aristotle leaves us with is simple but profound. Are you living in alignment with your purpose? If not, what's one thing you can do today to move closer to it? The journey to eudaimonia isn't easy, but it's the most rewarding path you can take. Becoming your best self, Aristotle's final secret to living well. We've journeyed through Aristotle's timeless advice, cultivating virtues, finding balance, and aligning our lives with purpose. Now, we arrive at the heart of it all, the idea of self-actualization. Aristotle believed that the ultimate secret to living well lies in becoming the best version of yourself. It's about not just existing but thriving, embracing your potential, and contributing to the world in a way that only you can. So, what does it mean to become your best self? For Aristotle, it's about living in harmony with your rational soul, the part of you that seeks truth, wisdom, and meaning. It's about engaging fully with life, not passively drifting through it, but actively shaping it. This requires effort, intention, and, most importantly, self-awareness. Here's a powerful question to consider: are you truly living, or are you just going through the motions? Too often, we get caught up in routines, responsibilities, and distractions, losing sight of what really matters. Aristotle challenges us to step back and reflect: what kind of person do I want to become? What choices am I making today to align with that vision? Self-actualization isn't a one-time event, it's a lifelong process. It's about constantly striving to improve, not out of dissatisfaction, but out of a deep desire to grow. Aristotle called this arete, often translated as excellence or virtue, but arete isn't about perfection. It's about striving to do your best in every aspect of life, whether it's your work, relationships, or personal development. But how do we find our purpose? Aristotle believed it begins with understanding our nature. As humans, we're not just creatures of instinct or desire. What sets us apart is our capacity for reason. Our ability to think critically, make choices, and act with intention is what makes us unique. Living well, then, means using this gift of reason to pursue a life that's not only enjoyable but also meaningful and virtuous. Think of it this way: imagine you're a musical instrument. Your purpose isn't just to exist, it's to make music. But the quality of that music depends on how well you're tuned and played. Aristotle believed that every person has their own music to play, their own unique contribution to make. Finding your purpose is about discovering what that is and striving to express it as fully as possible. Finally, Aristotle reminds us that living well isn't just about ourselves. It's about the impact we have on others and the legacy we leave behind. When we cultivate virtues, pursue purpose, and strive for excellence, we inspire those around us to do the same. This ripple effect is how we contribute to the flourishing of the larger community, a key part of eudaimonia. So, here's the ultimate challenge: what would it look like to fully commit to becoming your best self? What habits, relationships, and choices would you embrace? And what would you let go of to make room for growth? Aristotle's wisdom is timeless because it speaks to what it means to be truly alive. The secret to living well isn't in the pursuit of perfection, it's in the daily practice of striving, growing, and flourishing. The question isn't, are you there yet? It's, are you on the path? The time to begin is now.